took Sam's unit testing workshop. Before the course, we were running as a one developer shop, and we had just a mess of spaghetti code. And so I've really been able to use the tools I learned from that to change the way we're approaching our designs in general, looking at making things loosely coupled, easily testable, so that we can have a more efficient build process and make sure our code is stable over the long term.
So I took Sam's unit test workshop, and that really proved to be a great tool for me. Before that, I always understood the importance of testing your code and doing the unit testing, but I wasn't always very efficient at it, and it took a lot of time. And as a result of taking the workshop from Sam, he broke it down, made things easier to understand, helped you to see how planning your test in advance rather than doing it after you wrote your code, helped you to write testable code that was easy to test. And as a result of that, just real life experience, what I have is a project that I'm working on right now, just finalizing. And I ended up doing very well on the project because I quoted it based on the hours that it would normally take me previously to do the project, to write the code, to test it and debug it. And basically, as a result, I've cut the time involved in writing and testing code for myself nearly in half.
Before I took the workshop, I had a piece of code that touched a database, and I needed to replace that database. And the code, it was kind of a mess, and I didn't know where to go with it. But after taking the unit testing course, I had quite a bit more tools and confidence to be able to go through and refactor the code and turn it into a piece of testable code. And then using all of these new tools, I was able to replace that database with confidence, having these unit tests to support the replacement.
Yeah, so I took the class for DQMH. I learned a lot, and I really wanted to share it with our team. And I thought it was going to be easy to teach the class on my own, be able to provide all this. But I decided to refrain from that and start saying, you know what, let's go back to Sam. He did such a great job. How would he teach a developer versus an architect? You know what, it actually turned out better because the session was remote, and it provided them more feedback, a lot of more control over the situation, a lot more practical approaches. And she was able to take that knowledge over 6 days instead of 3 days and actually develop kind of her own lightweight version of the same DQMH framework. And now that framework is being passed across different departments. It's already up in 3 different projects in just a matter of weeks. So being able to take that same training as an architect, it lessened the burden on my shoulders to just have the developer learn. And now she's an architect on her own. So it worked out great.
So I was interested in getting started on some advanced programming techniques and was a little bit unsure of how to go with those. And I took Sam's class on DQMH, which I thought was a good way to get going. And it actually turned out extremely well. So I now feel much more confident using DQMH to write programs in LabVIEW. So it was a really good experience to get the hands-on experience with that product.
The community is the biggest benefit I've gotten out of the mastermind. The Slack channel, I think, has been incredibly beneficial. Being able to ask a community of people and be able to quickly get an answer to something or bounce ideas off of, discuss difficulties that we've all kind of shared with the LabVIEW IDE and some other things. So the community piece has been the best.
Well, before I was in the LabVIEW Mastermind group, I only had my colleagues to bounce ideas off. But knowing more and more people in the LabVIEW community, I can test my ideas on people with different views, different backgrounds. So the LabVIEW Mastermind group really introduced me to a lot of new LabVIEW professionals, LabVIEW friends, not only my colleagues and local user group. So it's a gate to a broader community.
So before I joined LabVIEW Mastermind, whenever I had an issue, I had to reach out to individuals who I had met at conferences or when I previously worked at NI. And that's fine, depending on what the issue is. But occasionally I have complex issues which I need to talk to a team of people. Now for me, that team of people has been the LabVIEW Masterminds. And if no one in there can help me, because it's a team of people, the amount of people they can reach through their networks amplifies at a much greater rate. So since joining the LabVIEW Masterminds, there hasn't been an issue which I haven't been able to solve through my new network.
A lot of times also, if you have some struggles and kind of don't know where maybe to look for maybe an answer, the mastermind group can be a very efficient way to just ask some questions and get a lot of experienced people's views on what can be done to try and help and solve that problem you have in a very efficient way, and where you not need to wait 40 days from an employee from NI to maybe answer your questions. That is not very helpful, and apparently a lot of people is struggling with a lot of the same problems all around the world. So it kind of makes a lot of sense for people to join together in a connected community to help each other out.
Yeah, so before the mastermind group, I really didn't have too much other than NI forums and some folks online and the wonderful CLA Summit and trying to provide different data to that. But with the pandemic and just those CLA summits are kind of gone, and there's no local user groups to try to get into a community. So the mastermind really spoke to me initially really quickly, and it still does. Being able to connect with folks around the world and getting their different perspectives, all from abstracts to classes to theory to practical, and being able to apply all these different techniques and learn different facets from different people's perspectives really opens my eyes that sometimes I know a lot and I'm able to share, but other times I don't know anything and I'm able to really learn and dive in really quickly and get a judge if this is something that our department or even company can really dive into. So it's provided a lot of benefit.
First, my employer was a bit reluctant to the value of the LabVIEW Mastermind group, but after reporting several meetings and showing some examples, they became more and more convinced that it's really valuable. For example, the time when we had a problem and the LabVIEW Mastermind helped out. Because we had to clear the LabVIEW cache, and somebody mentioned that. Also, very quick response in the Slack channel helps from time to time. So every time that I got something solved by the help of the LabVIEW Mastermind group, I don't forget to mention that, and people got more and more enthusiastic about it.
So as far as the value for the workshops that SAMS provides, they're very valuable. Return on investment for me was the first job. As a result of learning how to plan my tests, write my tests in advance, it made me so much more efficient and so quicker at the testing and debugging process that I more than made a return on the investment I put out for taking the class. So it's very valuable. I would recommend anybody take the class.
I would really recommend that if somebody's interested in upping their programming skills and getting a better handle on how to organize code, that the DQMH class that Sam gives is a good way to get a good start on that. So.
Yeah, so I mean, if somebody else wanted to take the mastermind group and they found Sam, I'd have to recommend A+, yes. You learn so much, and every time you think you know something, you really don't. You get down, a ladder on the step. But being able to take Sam's confidence and his ability to understand the questions, be able to quickly get answers using the Slack group is one avenue that we can all chat about any kind of subject matter, whether it's something about the meeting, proposed ideas, doing code reviews. The group's kind of really open, and you learn so much. There's really no downside. So I really think that everyone benefits from Sam's confidence and his ability to understand all of the material. And when he doesn't, he's able to pull resources from different forums and different folks that he's attached to as a champion and many other folks in the community.
Yes, so if you want to join the LabVIEW Mastermind group, I think it's a very good idea. Give it a try, and you'll see it's a very valuable group where you can discuss a lot of topics. You get a lot of tips and tricks. A lot of resources are shared, and there's a very good Slack channel with people that are willing to help you out if you have a problem. So don't hesitate and join the LabVIEW Mastermind group.